Hello, and welcome to the February edition of the Redwood Real Estate Report. I'm Ben Larson with Larson Home Loans.
And I'm Annalise von Borstel, broker-owner at Hyperion Humboldt Realty.
So first, I just want to thank everybody for joining us on our kickoff episode of the Redwood Real Estate Report. You'll be able to find us on Podbean, YouTube, and there'll be a link to the YouTube channel on larsonhomeloans.com. At the top of the page, you'll see a tab named Podcast. So you just click on that. Click the link, it'll take you right there. And if you like it, make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. That will keep us in your feed every month. You'll see our new edition, the new content we're coming out with every month. And the Redwood Real Estate Report will be your go-to resource for all the key indicators for the Humboldt real estate market.
Yeah, awesome. So Ben, let's start with your market keys for the month of February.
Yeah, so to kick it off, I'm going to give you my mortgage market keys for the month of February. To start off, we're going to talk about the hot topic of interest rates, of course. I'll just go through where interest rates, kind of where they're tracking and where they've been. So on February 3rd, we kicked off the month with interest rates of 7.05. They peaked on February 12th at 7.13. And since then, they've been trending down, ending the month at 6.74, and have essentially held there from the end of February through today. Today's rates were 6.79, and that's a national average of 30-year fixed rates. So keep that in mind. There are different loan programs, have different, that's a conventional mortgage, 30-year fixed rate. My second key is rate spread. This isn't something that's commonly talked about in the mortgage world, but I'm going to bring it up this show specifically because I think it gives an optimistic view of where rates might go in the future. So a rate spread is the difference between a 10-year Treasury bond and the 30-year fixed rate average for, national data, based off national data. Historically, it's 1.6 to 1.8% difference between the 10-year bond and the 30-year fixed rate. It peaked in 2023 at 3.1% spread. That's when we saw those 8% mortgage interest rates that, didn't do our industry any favors. Fortunately, right now, the trend is that spread is down to 2.5. So with that in mind, if we continue the trend of back to historical norms, we could see interest rates decrease by 0.7% if we do hit that historical norm window without the Fed lowering prime. So that's an optimistic view of where interest rates may go in the near future. And my final monthly mortgage key has to do with applications. So overall applications have been holding steady since the beginning of the year. Initially, apps in January were about 10% down, Annalise, when we look at a year over year. So that was a little bit of a disappointment coming into the purchase season to see applications not spiking. But they've been holding steady. And actually in the month of February, we're 5% above where we were year over year last year. So that's a good indicator for our spring purchase season, heating up as we move into spring.
And again, those applications, those are for buyers that are actually in contract.
Those are contracted applications. So those are applications with lenders, for approval with a contract, not pre-approvals, not pre-qualifications. Those are real deals.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
So good direction on that. I want to put you on the spot about the spread again. If we could talk more about that. What are some of the indicators we can keep our eye on that would be a sign that spread might be coming down?
The indicator would be if the Fed, really the Fed rate is not the greatest indicator. If we see rates continue to creep down, as we have really for the last couple months, that's an indicator that spread is coming down. But really what you do is you look at the 10-year Treasury bond and the 30-year fixed rate interest rate, and that's your spread. So the calculation of the spread, you can know exactly what it is just with a quick Google search and do the simple subtraction.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. I'll start on my market keys of the month. And obviously, we love to talk about price. So the median home price in Humboldt County month over month is up just over 4%. between last February and this February. Last February, the median home price was $412,500, and this February we're up to $430,000. That's for all of Humboldt. But if you're a seller, keep in mind that the days on the market are up over 25% from last year, and the absorption rate is up over 5 months. So it's no longer a seller's market, and you should be working closely with your realtor to be sure that you're pricing your home accordingly. Inventory was also up almost 18% from February last year. That's primarily in the $300,000 to $500,000 range, and inventory is up 25% in Eureka compared to the first 2 months of 2024.
Wow.
Let's see, prices in Arcata are up 50% to $620,000. Eureka's up 6.5% to $403,000. Fortuna's up 7.25% to $429,000. So those are the prices that's going on in our major communities. And remember that every home and every neighborhood is completely unique. So that's not to mention the circumstances that someone may be needing to sell. So as your professional real estate partner, it's my goal to partner with my clients to develop a strategy based on their specific goals. And just a reminder, the absorption rate is a measure of how many months worth of inventory is on the market with if the rate of sales stays the same. Right now in our current market, we have 5 months worth of inventory on the market. A balanced market is generally considered between 5 to 6 months. Below 5 months is a seller's market, and above 6 months is considered a buyer's market.
Thanks for mentioning that, Annalise. I know for a lot of our viewers, a lot of these technical terms, it helps to break things down for them. So appreciate that.
The absorption rate I also sometimes will refer to as the inventory index, but it's one of my favorite measures to use when we're talking about supply and demand because the price for one buyer might not seem out of line compared to another buyer, but when you're looking at how quickly things are selling and how much inventory is available, you can get a real sense of where the market temperature is at.
Absolutely.
So in general, prices are up slightly, but so is inventory. Buyers have more options to consider, and they're really taking their time. So days on the market are also up. They aren't rushing into anything, and sellers really need to be strategic right now and positioning their home, working with their realtor to appeal to buyers. That could mean staging your home. It could mean investing a little bit more in landscaping so you have that extra curb appeal. And I always recommend to sellers that you go ahead and get that home and pest inspection done before listing. You don't necessarily need to make any repairs, but just having that information will really help buyers feel more confident about making an offer where otherwise they may be on the fence. Having those reports will help buyers get off the fence and also save you some trouble once you get into a contract down the line. It will reduce the chance of more negotiations and back and forth and things coming out of left field that are unexpected. So I definitely recommend that. So those are my mortgage keys for the month.
Well, thank you so much. So I had a question about the Arcata price spike, a 50% increase in...
Pretty impressive.
So my question is, though, we know sometimes when you see spikes like that, there could be either very little activity or maybe a couple really large sales that skew those numbers. Could you break that down for us a little bit?
That's a really good point you make because Arcata is actually a really small sample size to be considering. In the entire year so far, between January and February, there's only been 12 sales.
Gotcha.
But when you compare it to last year, more of those sales last year were in the $300,000 to $400,000 range, and this year there's been a couple in the $800,000 range, along with a couple in the $400,000 to $600,000. That's increasing that median home price, but it is just 12 homes that we're talking about for the whole year, which again is another reason why it's so important to work with your realtor who's going to hone in on those comps with your specific neighborhood and home in mind.
And I think it's a good sign that those properties in the higher end are moving again, because we did see that market cool off a little bit last year. I think there was some interest rate shock or sticker shock on the interest rate, not so much the price of the home. As we've seen, those have actually gone up. But to see those properties moving is another good sign for the market. So thank you, Annalise, for breaking that down.
Definitely.
So let's go into... a little bit about what's going on in the community.
Well, big news that's just come out has been the wind farm companies that have been exploring the possibility of offshore wind in Humboldt seem to be pulling back. And while there had been a lot of speculation about what the offshore wind was going to do to the housing market, it hadn't really gotten to the point yet where it was affecting the market directly. But still, it's a bit of a letdown for folks who were expecting even more of a housing crunch, which for homeowners, that's great for appreciation. But could lead to a little bit of relief for buyers. Needless to say, we're still in a housing shortage, so we still need more homes. You got any?
It's always been a strong market here, and obviously having these bigger industries moving in could create more of a crunch and become more of a buyer's market. But we're still strong, we're still steady, and all the indicators, that this is going to be a better year than last year if we look at the numbers that we've seen so far. So if you're a realtor or you're a lender, sharpen your pencils, because we could heat up a little bit.
Well, and people are moving to Humboldt for all kinds of reasons. Climate is a big one. People wanting to get to a more temperate climate with less fire risk. So we're not going to see any big relief on that front.
And as far as buying in Arcata goes, I mean, the last few years, that market has been nearly impossible to get into just because the lack of inventory. So the fact that what was it, like a 25% increase in inventory or something like that with Arcata, that's a good sign if you're looking to buy in the city of Arcata. There's been some housing developments for students that are going on. There's been some other things that could be helping out with freeing up single family homes, and that are all, again, positive signs for the market.
What I'm excited to see is that inventory in Arcata that's being freed up. A lot of it, I expect, has historically been student housing in single family homes. And students live pretty hard. So those homes are probably going to be in need of a little TLC. They may or may not qualify for a conventional loan, but there are rehab loans out there.
Yep,
you want to talk a
absolutely.
little bit about what that could look like for someone?
Well, there's a lot of rehab opportunities, certainly with older homes and areas like that, and they are eligible. It's a little bit more work up front. You have to identify a contractor. They have to be approved. You have to get your bids solid, set in place. But if you can do all those things and line it up, even FHA, so very little out of your pocket, you can do a rehab loan. It's one of the better rehab loan products out there on the market, and it could certainly help somebody out looking to get into a fixer-upper. Or a first-time home buyer, or someone who just wants their dream home. The cost of rehabbing is financeable.
I love to see a home get a new lease on life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's what I have for community events. This weekend, actually, I had the opportunity to go to a Rotary International convention, which is always super inspirational, great speakers, and it's just wonderful to see all the projects that are going around the world with Rotary International. And even right here in our own backyard, I'm excited to share that Rotary Club of Eureka is partnering with Cal Trout on the Eel River Expo, a celebration of the Source to Sea community. On April 19th at the River Lodge, we're going to have exposition of recreation specialists, scientists, fishermen, just anyone with an interest along the entire Eel River watershed, which spans actually 5 counties, can be involved in this event. We're going to have keynote speakers, including Salvador Rico, who's the ambassador to the UN from Rotary on the Climate Action Committee. So it's going to be a great event, family friendly, all ages. There's a photo contest. Send in your favorite photo of the Eel River for a chance to win some great prizes by Cocotat and Patagonia.
That's exciting.
Yeah, April 19th at the River Lodge. And also, finally, I'd like to highlight my featured listing of the month, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
That's going to be 2374 Meadow Lane in Eureka, up on Humboldt Hill. This is a solid mid-century home. It's 3 beds, 1.5 bath. It's just over 1,000 square feet, but there's also a bonus 200 square foot solarium, and it's on nearly half an acre, flat, up on top of the hill. It definitely has space to add an ADU. And also the sellers have been working with the county to confirm that this lot could be split if somebody wanted to create 2 separate parcels to develop. But of course, if development's not your thing, it's still nearly half an acre. That is a beautiful garden space with lots of sunshine and ready for your little oasis.
Well, thank you for that. That sounds like a beautiful property with some upside potential If you're interested in, adding income producing ADU, or if you have, family visiting often or whatever you need, it seems like it could be a good property for somebody. So thank you for that. And with that, I think we'll bring our first Redwood real estate report to a close. So I want to thank Annalise for joining me in this project. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you guys tune in next month. Don't forget to like and subscribe us on YouTube to keep us at the top of your feed. Again, you can find us on Podbean, on YouTube, and of course, the podcast link at the top of my website, larsonhomeloans.com. And, feel free to leave in comments if you guys have market keys that you would like to see us cover. We'll be monitoring those comments, and we'd love to add that into the show. Any other feedback you provide, of course, we appreciate it. And we hope to see you again next month. So again, I'm Ben Larson with Larson Home Loans.
And I'm Annalise von Borstel, Hyperion Humboldt Realty, helping you root and rise.
And this has been a February edition of the Redwood Real Estate Report, your go-to source for all the keys to the Humboldt County real estate market.